Hi, folks. Today we're going to be talking about how I rank the Faun discography. But before I do that, I want to do a couple of little reminders. First off, if you like the channel and you like the content and you like hearing me ramble, please subscribe to the channel. And if you really like the video, go ahead and give it a like. And if you really, really like it, go ahead and share it with somebody you think might like it. I really appreciate the support. Second, let's go ahead and talk about the Roberts rating system, just as a little reminder in itself on how I have it work. First off, I will rate the album on a scale of 1 to 10. Half points are allowed. And that's how I feel about the album as a whole and how I like it as a listening experience. The next part of the rating is the points I assign for what I consider notable songs. Now, a notable song for me on an album is a song that I genuinely enjoy, that I might come back to on its own, or that I feel is very representative of their work. So there'll be a lot of points there. And then if the album, at least 50% of its content is what I would consider notable, then it gets a bonus point. But more than that, I will give 3 bonus points, just because that just means it is such a stellar album. So, having said that, that gives a number for the album, and that's how I rank them. But it also gives another number at the end, which I can use to compare with other artists. That's the reason why I have all these numbers, because I want to create a unique number for every artist and how they show up against each other. So, having said that, let's talk about Faun. So, we're going to do this Faun discography ranking kind of in 2 parts here. The first part is going through it in chronological order and assigning the ratings that I give them. The next part will be the countdown from what I consider the worst to the best, or the best to the more best, however you want to describe it. Anyway, let's begin. Let's begin with Faun's first album that came out in 2002. It is the studio album Zaubersprecher, and I give that album a 7.5 out of 10. I think it has 9 notable songs on it, and it gets 3 bonus points for a total of 19.5. I think it's a very well realized debut. I do think that they emerge into much higher heights later, and I like where they were going. So let's move on to the next album. Came out only a year later. That's Licht, that came out in 2003. I give Licht an album rating of 8. It has 9 notable songs on it as well. Some of these songs were later reinterpreted for other albums. You find this fairly common with Faun, but they're always such different and dynamic versions that I feel like they still count. So, anyway, 9 notable songs, 3 bonus points for this one, for a total of 20 points for Licht. Next, we have Renaissance, that came out in 2005. Listened to a lot of Renaissance, and I would say of this early period of Faun, which I would consider kind of between 2002 and 2009 or 2007, can't quite decide. This is probably my favorite of these albums. I give it a 9. It has 10 songs on it that I really love, and 3 bonus points for that album, for a total of 22. 2 years later, Renaissance was followed by Totem. Totem, I give an 8.5. It also has 10 great songs on it. For some reason, I have a tendency to forget to listen to Totem. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just because it came right after Renaissance. But 10 notable songs, 3 bonus points for a rating of 21.5. So just shy of the points I give to Renaissance. Next came Buch der Balladen. That one is probably the most close to the debut album. It was designed as a more acoustic album. And I would say 7 of the songs on here would meet my notable song criteria. I give the album a 7.5. It's not my favorite album of Faun's, but it's still a really solid album with 3 bonus points. Total score of 17.5. Now we move to what I consider kind of the beginning of the next era of Faun, which is the album Eden. Eden has a lot of great songs on it, 14 of them in total. So that means it definitely gets those bonus 3 points. And a score of 9 for me as an album listening experience. That gives it the lofty score of 26. This is a big jump from those other ones. Next came Faun den Elben. This was the first album that I bought a physical copy of with Faun. I give it a 9.5. So many great songs on this one. Mit dem Wind, Kalte Nacht, Faun den Elben, the 2013 version. Tanzmet Merit. The list goes on and on. 13 stellar songs for me, 9.5 rating, 3 bonus points for a score of 25.5. Next, only a year later, is my favorite Faun album in general. That is Luna. Came out 2014, of course. I give it 10 points. 15 notable songs for me. I have the deluxe version of the album, so it might be a slightly longer list than some of the other ones, but that's the version I've got. So 3 bonus points, 28. If I was recording and recommending to anybody where to start with Faun, I'd probably say Luna if you're new to them. This is also the beginning when they have these prologue songs for the next 3 albums. And normally I don't include prologue songs in notable song numbers, but here I feel like they're significant. And that plays a role in how I rate the next album, which is Midgard, the follow up to Luna. Midgard is a truly solid album, and I would give it a 9.5, just shy of Luna's rating. 15 notable songs again, 3 bonus points for a score of 27.5. The next album would come out was Märchen und Mythen. Please forgive me the pronunciation. Came out in 2019. I also give this a 9.5. This is kind of a transitional album. This is when we have a new singer, Laura Falla, coming in. And this is the last album that Fiona appears on this album. And she was such a huge part of Faun's music through this whole time. So it's a solid album. If you like albums that are about myths and fairy tales, this is a great one. And once again, a great prologue song on this one. So 9.5 points, 15 notable songs, 3 bonus points for 27.5, tying with the last album. Then comes Pagan. This is when they switched to their own label in 2022. Also acquired the new voice of Adaya. And I think this is also a very stellar album. I give it a 9. And it has a lot of tremendous tracks on it as well, 15 of them as well, with a bonus point of 3 for a total of 27 points for Pagan. Just lots of wonderful things to listen here. And some of their darkest content, I would say, with like Gwydion and so forth. And we have their Halloween song in here as well. Next came Hex, which came out in 2025, not too long ago. And originally, when I did my rating of Hex on this channel, I gave it a 9. I'm bumping it up to 9.5. I also docked a notable song from it. I've changed my mind. I think all the songs on this album are great and representative. And they have that instrumental number that I originally moved was Valse, but I really like it these days. So I'm giving it 12 notable songs, 3 bonus points for a score of 24.5. All right. So what order do the albums fall in? I'm sure some of you might have picked up what order because I told the numbers, but let's make it easy. Let's go ahead and count down from the bottom to the top and talk a little bit about where they fell. So at the very bottom is 2009's Buch der Balladen, position number 12 with 17.5 points. I'm not surprised it's there. Zaubersprecher, the debut album from 2002, is position 11 at 19.5 points. These two albums are fairly similar to each other in tone, so I'm not surprised that they're next to each other. Next comes Licht, place number 10 with 20 points. Also not surprised that this is kind of where Licht fell. Then comes Totem, number 9 at 21.5 points, to be followed at number position 8 for Renaissance from 2005 at 22 points. These albums are pretty close to each other in how I feel about them, so this seems like a good place for them. Now, it's album number 7 in this is Hex from 2025, 24.5 points. I'm sure Hex might have ranked higher if it had more songs. It's such a good album, but all these albums, they're good albums. If you wind up liking this style of music, you're not going to go wrong with any of them. Next comes Von den Elben from 2013, position number 6 at 25.5 points. Eden at number 5 with 26 points. I was initially surprised that Eden outpaced Von den Elben, but let's be honest, Eden is such a solid album, has so many good tracks. It is golden, like the golden apples depicted in it. Then comes Pagan, the debut of their own label, and that's position number 4 with 27 points. Probably their darkest album. If you want to dabble in their darker stuff, this is probably the one to go to. Then I had a tie. I decided to put one above the other just because I like it slightly better as a listening experience. So at position number 3 is Märchen und Mythen with 27.5 points. In position number 2, Midgard with 27.5 points. Both crazy solid albums. You can't go wrong with them. Then comes Luna, my favorite, at position number 1 with 28 points. Okay, having said that, we need to talk about another number for this band. So what I do is I go through, I do an average of all the albums, and I find out what their number is, and I multiply it by 10 to give it a big, solid number. Then I add the notable songs number, as well as the notable album points, the bonus points, to that number. Having said that, Faun gets an average of 8.875 for their albums. Really high number, which comes out by that multiplier to 88.75. I add my 144 and my additional 36 points to that for a grand total of 268.75. So, where does that mean they fall? It's going to be pretty high in the overall rankings. This channel still is infancy. We've only completed 2 other main discography rankings for the purposes of the channel. But I am going to start doing eventually little episodes where we can compare numbers and how much I like a band. Eventually, too, I do intend to do kind of a plus ranking where I bring in tracks that weren't on albums that I think are notable as well to add to their points. But that's further down the road. All of that's further down the road. So, going back to Faun, what I would say is that Faun is a stellar band for me, and I love their music. I love this particular genre, or mixture of genres, as you might look at it. And if you are a person who hasn't listened to it before, I'd say check out any of their themed albums, which is most of them. But maybe go with Luna. You know, if you want to know what's my favorite, Luna's the favorite. So start there, maybe, if you want to go off of a random person on the internet. Having said that, this is the conclusion of the Faun discography ranking. There's more to be said about Faun, more to dig into the genre and talk about why I like the music so much. But for the purposes of this episode and this ratings session, well, we are all set and all done. So thank you for spending your time here on the channel. Once again, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Give us a like and come back for more content. There's going to be more to come.